Hello and welcome. Welcome. So good. Come say hello if you are live or on the replay. I want to hear from you. So excited to come in here. This is an impromptu live stream. I've been trying to do more of these inside the Visionary Portal. So much is coming through that I really, really want to share with you. So today we're going to get into push-pull power. I wrote a post on it. If you haven't read it, definitely go take a look, because this is something that I am seeing recurring and I really want to address this today. So I've been just loving coming in here and sharing more with you. So something happened this week, just personally for me, and just like my own experience and as what's coming through around power. Ton of realizations came through about the subtle energetics for myself, for my clients, what's going on for them in terms of this push-pull. This is really going to help you if you are feeling like you're on a little bit of a roller coaster, a little bit of like a dip in and out. It could be super subtle, it could be really big, but this is the source, kind of the same thing. So as you know, I always put my money where my mouth is. I don't just talk the talk. My work is living embodiment, which means I do the things, which means I feel the things, and I share the things. So actually, I'm a really private person, and so a lot of this doesn't actually go onto social media, but I wanted to come in here and share some things, even just a little bit of, you know, what I've experienced in my own journey, and also talk about how to really solve a very sticky thing when I see visionaries coming to their power and really understanding what this means. You know, power is a kind of very, yeah, there's a lot to it, right? When we hear the word power, this might mean something. It's kind of coded differently. And when I am talking about power, I am talking about the raw, most inner, inner power, inner source that you utilize, you embody to create the things that you desire in the 3D, which feels wildly satisfying. So hello and welcome. Hey, Jenna. So this is something that I've seen a lot because I work with high performers, those who are extremely committed, deeply conscious, and literally will stop at nothing to really explore their own labyrinths, their own inner workings. There is this overachiever tendency that I see and I understand, because this is also me. When you do this work, the work itself, for me, it's my own medicine. So using your own medicine is extremely important, but it also gives me an insight into these issues in a way that most do not if you have not actually experienced this, or you don't think in the same way, or you're a bit of a disruptor, right? So when someone isn't seeing what they want in the 3D, okay, or feeling in command, I look at their relationship to their own sovereignty and power. So of course I do this for myself. And just this week, I recognized a new limiter. I was able to articulate it as well for my clients, and a topic that is really important for us to talk about, because I know a lot of you here are actually experiencing this. So we're going to look at power, and we're also going to look at where there can be a little tweak. My gift is that I see it immediately. We illuminate it, we shift it, and we recode it, and boom, we create something entirely different. And the tiniest adjustment to where you've been placing your power, it can mean the difference between sitting in a plateau for months, for years, waking up at 2 in the morning in cold sweats, wondering what to do, or if you're doing it right, to sleeping soundly in the knowing that you are powerfully, intentionally, clearly creating your destiny, right? These are very, very powerful things. And you have the ability to navigate void space, because this is something that I think really needs to be driven home, that power doesn't mean that you are always walking around in your full knowing. It's the ability to be able to experience the human experience void space and other seeming obstacles, let's say, to power, and not sabotage yourself during that time, not fall into self-judgment, not fall into blame, right? You can handle the unknown in a way that is actually intentional and not at like the mercy of some kind of roller coaster of the outside world or roller coaster of your feelings, right? So many people say that they want to collapse timelines. So my work is actually bringing this into the 3D, right? So it's not just being in this ethereal plane talking about energetics, it's actually creating the thing that you want to experience in the 3D world. But what happens is there are these energetic leaks, right? These patterns, you know that there are these hidden unconscious limiters that can happen. And what's so frustrating about these is that we cannot see them. And I watch so many people fighting against these things that we cannot see. So what happens is what we decide, right, that we want to experience something. There is a desire in us. So firstly, we have to own that desire. We ensure that the desire is actually ours. This is why my Black Diamond process begins here with revealing this first always. Otherwise, you're shooting for a goal, right, that isn't even yours. But we know that we want to reach these goals. You know that you have limited time on this earth. My people are not messing around and dipping their toes in or in and out. Like, you know that your goals are high impact. You want efficiency, you want clarity, you want precision. It is so liberating to feel this, right? Because you're not wondering what to do next or trying all these things that are like literally wasting your time. But what I see is people desiring time collapse. You tend to do this sometimes. We fall into that pattern. And we're not investing the time, the energy, the resources, and actually recoding and seeing truth. And this has their power dipping in and out. I'm going to show you just some examples of what this looks like. So it's like this on and off, right? Have you ever experienced that? There's like a huge source here of those plateaus or that frustration or that just like, what is next? I'm ready to go. I'm ready to expand. Why do I keep hitting this ceiling? Right? And it isn't always your fault, this, you know, because you are bombarded, like we're all bombarded with input and data daily, right? You're going to be advertised. It's something I really want to address. You're going to be advertised that you have this or that problem, right? But the solution isn't actually what they're telling you it is. Because how do you know what that solution is if you haven't discovered the root? This is why I am so wildly dedicated to this experience of identifying the actual thing beyond my ego, beyond your ego, beyond what we think it is in our mind, right? What happens when you are trying to solve these problems, but you haven't even discovered the root of it? So it's like this, it's like you have a cold. You're having a cold symptoms, you have a headache, you have fatigue, and doctors cannot figure it out. Maybe it's been weeks now, okay? And so, you know, you go to the allergist and the allergist is gonna look through their lens. Yeah, it's probably allergies, it's probably outdoor allergies. Oh wait, no, it's probably your cat allergies or your dog allergies or food allergies, right? So you're gonna go through all these things, you're gonna do all the testing, you're going to focus your energy here, right, for a long amount of time. You're going to adjust your diet, right, whatever that is, and then, you know, or you go to the general doctor and they're like, oh, it's probably a cold, so you just need to wait for it to pass, right? These are all different lenses in which you are looking at the problem through, but there's an assumption that it is so. It is assumption through their lens, through the symptom. See what I mean? This is why, like, when you scroll online or you speak to your colleagues or you're in the boardroom or you ingest information from your industry or whatever it is, right? It's going to be that lens. So of course I have a lens too, but what I am asking is to identify the root and let's look at the wider range of energetics here, because if you are only approaching it from a single lens, like for instance in business, people will then say, if you're looking through the business lens, well, it must be your strategy. And so what do? You go look for the executive coach, the business coach, the person who can help you with the strategy. See what I mean, right? You are, going back to the cold analogy, you're just a human sitting in an office outside your home, and they're telling you these things based on the symptoms and the assumption. But no one has actually set foot in your house. No one has entered the house. No one has asked about the house. And what you don't realize is there's mold sitting in your wall. There is a hole in the roof that is letting the rain in, that is then creating the mold, that is then growing, that is then creating the symptoms in your body, right? But no one has ever bothered to look there or check. The mold is actually creating the symptoms, right? This is the root. This is what I'm talking about, okay? Like, mind-blowing, right? Because no one has actually entered the house. But because it is behind the closed door, because it is behind the wall, because it is unseen, because they haven't even asked to step foot into the house, imagine suffering with the mold. Imagine how long you'd be there chasing solution after solution that people guaranteed. And yes, maybe those are wonderful guarantees, right? But if you don't know the actual root, these are useless. These strategies are absolutely useless. And I know this intimately because I have been down many of these roads myself. And this is why I'm so dedicated to entering the house energetically, spiritually, strategically, on all dimensions, right? It is time that we stepped into the house. We break down the wall, we clean it up, we mend the hole, and there you go. Those symptoms then disappear. This is what I mean by hidden limiters, whether it's towards a specific legacy achievement or goals in business or in your life. You know that you are here to collapse time, and this is what happens in my world. So many of you who have been in my world know this, right? The moment you truly see it, it is like this. This is my favorite thing, asking that question and watching that light bulb, like watching someone's face, that light bulb is the activator. It's like all of a sudden, And the cool thing about this is that you can't unsee it. Then all of a sudden, you know the direction to move. All of a sudden, you know where your power is. All of a sudden, you realize how powerful you are. I have had so many clients who weren't even working in the industry that they desired, or running a business that was, the ease, the power that they wanted. And this wasn't, a money problem. This wasn't a business problem. This wasn't a messaging problem or a branding problem, right? Depending on where you're casting your eye, this was a relationship with their own power problem. I'm gonna call it a problem, but this is what was missing. This was a limiter that they were holding in their body problem, right? And when you unlock this, it's like I said, it's literally a tweak. It isn't always an entire overhaul. Not gonna lie, sometimes it is too. And learning to navigate this in power is just another way to hyperspeed. So many believe that when they are, starting from zero, that it needs to take a long time. No way. You can begin now when you can actually see very powerful results quickly and be very rooted and grounded while you do it. So I wanted to bring this up because obviously so many things around this, but yesterday I had my own experience of really seeing this myself, that there are always like other layers to this. And the moment I cleaned this up, it was huge. There's this one thing in particular that I'm going to address in Anchor. And we're not only going into the mind, but we're going into the energetic body. My technology is here to recode you. And so many things have shifted and expanded, even in my own personal work, that I'm going to be opening up more of my private energy experiences into this in a group setting. So this is why I'm so excited about this, because this really isn't about intellectualizing every single aspect of this. That's actually not where your power lives. So if you're not in, by the way, and you've been reaching out to work with me, I've had a few people inquiring about this. This is the most insane offer I am running. It is only $1K. to join before Thursday. And I've realized that how much I'm crafting, how much I'm putting into this, how much I'm pulling from my really premium high level client work, that I'm honoring this value and putting it back to the regular investment of 5K after Thursday. So if you're ready, I'm going to open up this space very soon. If you're already in, I know some of you are already in, I'll be sending the details this week. So if you are really ready to bust these limiters for good, to open the door to the house, to truly learn how to anchor into your power and achieve sustainable, lasting results in whatever you choose to set your sights on in multidimensional ways with my live support. By the way, this is only happening once live. Get in there. I don't know what you're waiting for. I cannot wait. I've been like sitting in my seat like, oh my God, we're gonna do this. Yes, we are gonna do so much here. And it is all about the multidimensional aspect of it. We're not just approaching it from one single angle. So those who have been working with me are just on fire. Like really, when we're talking about power, being able to, you know, navigate in power, transitioning from one business to another and creating insane momentum, or coming out of the shadows after like a decade and creating a 6-figure business plan solely on their actual gifts, like full ownership of these gifts without the wobble, without taking the time, because the wobble is slowing you down. This is what people don't realize. If you're okay in the wobble and taking time and then honoring that, fine too. The people in my world want to move. There is that experience of not giving into that wobble. And when you do wobble, because also we are human, learning how to navigate that in a very specific way. And a lot of my clients were, you know, done chasing shadows, wasting time on the things that they were judging themselves for. There's a lot of that. We're going to have a really big talk about that. And recode some of that, to really finally feeling in control of their outcomes, like not waking in those cold sweats like at night because they know that they are on the right path. They trust themselves beyond anything else, and they have a clear path to tread that isn't sourced anywhere else but the wellspring of their genius. So this is the fuel for your highest work in the world. So alongside really doing the work in illuminating the root, plucking it out, recoding it, there's a new identity, right, that needs to be born. We're constantly going through these varying versions of ourselves. And I look at it as like an onion peeling back to the newer version, or the truer version of ourselves. This level of expansion, though, it requires something entirely different from you. You can't keep going on in the same exact way that you have. You know this. I know you know this, but a lot of people still get stuck here. It's like, I've reached this and now what? So one thing I see really is this push-pull energy, which I want to address, which is something that's going to be obliterated in my space. This is something that I have navigated for myself. And what it requires is decision. This push-pull energy is why you're not navigating in power the way that you want. This is why you're experiencing the wobble. This is why things are feeling a little bit slower. This is why you have that ache of expansion. Like, why can't I just hyperspeed this? I know that feeling intimately. It is so frustrating. And once again, it's like that little tweak. This is why, you know, when you ask what's next, you know, you say, okay, I'm going to be the person who shows up in this way. This is me now, right? And then you do it for a while, and then something comes up. I've had clients terrified, absolutely terrified, to really just show their true gifts to the world. They were known for one thing, you know, maybe they've built something for millions of dollars in one area, or they have a job in this one industry, or they're known for this one thing. But in their heart, they already know that they're meant for something else. They're already being guided in another direction, or to step into a new identity. And they know deep down that this old identity of how they've been operating isn't who they are anymore. It's like people expect you to keep being who you are after you've actually changed. It isn't you anymore. And I've certainly experienced this as well, right? Let me know if you have too, because this is a lot of the times what's happening on the outside of us, where people are expecting us to be a certain way. And as I've shifted, as I've had many iterations of self and business and power and energy work, people will come to me and I'm like, I'm not even that person anymore. I don't even work that way anymore. This is no longer available, or this is now available, right? It is completely different. And a lot of times people will not fully express or not be who they're here to be because of that, or not step into that next level of identity because of outside sources. And, you know, I've seen this a lot too. It really leads to boredom. It leads a lot of people to paint themselves into a corner on purpose, like spicing things up, but not in the best of ways either. It's like creating drama or ways to puzzle yourself out of a situation that's really suboptimal because, well, you're bored, because you're not being challenged, because this is not the the identity that you actually want to play at. But you push through consciously or unconsciously because you're terrified of what happens next if you actually move the way that you want. If you say what you want, if you do what you want, or create the business the way you want, or sell the business, then who are you, right? So this push-pull energy, it comes up in a lot of different ways. You're in your power sometimes, and then you're not. Like the people who get really inspired and they feel their own power, like they're like, oh, I'm so activated, everything's going to change right now. But then they scroll on social, or they have the board meeting, or they have a phone call with their manager, they see something online, or a friend, mentor, guide gives a suggestion and they collapse, they wobble. They say, maybe this actually isn't the good choice. Maybe this is bullshit. Maybe I'm making this up. Maybe this won't work, right? Have you been there? Have you done that? Yeah, there's the wobble right there, right? Something throws you off in some way, even just a little bit. So you say that you decide, but then you didn't step fully, beautifully, ripely into this identity of the one who not only decides, who has decided and freaking sticks to it, who is resiliently rooted into your raw power no matter what. I want you to really feel the frequency of no matter what. Are you giving lip service to this phrase? Are you actually fucking feeling no matter what? Yeah? You feel that? That's what I mean, right? I was talking to somebody recently, and it was a really cool analogy about the arrow and the aim at the target, right? So when we aim an arrow, we want to hit the bullseye, right? We want to hit the middle of this bullseye, but it isn't actually a huge adjustment, is it? That's going to get us to hit it right. It's the small millimeter adjustment that's going to hit the bullseye. Same thing with throwing you off course, right? So the little things also that you are thinking are not a big deal, they're actually draining your power, draining your satisfaction, and seeing yourself not creating the things that you want to see the way you want to see and experience it. You know, or you don't see the money to invest where you want, or you're a founder, so it doesn't feel responsible to, you know, invest over here because these funds are tied up in the project itself or whatever. And then instead of your power going to the ultimate timeline, the ultimate source of your creations and outcomes, which is you, because you are the universe, it is left to the external things now to determine what is going to be created, right? What you're seeing now. So if you believe the power is in the investment or the money, instead of listening to your desire, if you believe that, then that is where your power is going to live. And that's where your power is always going to live. You will always be on the roller coaster or the pendulum. It's a lot of sometimes back and forth feeling of the have and have not. This is the push-pull frequency. This push-pull happens when you create something and then you lose it. Like financially, maybe you get a windfall and decide This is how it gets to be. Of course, yes, you feel your incredible power because you know this is in you, right? You know this is truth. You recognize it in your body. It feels so good, right? And you know that you are a visionary. You know that you are so damn powerful and you're ever expanding on this quest. This is part of your nature to desire to expand at this level. It's like you are endlessly seeking. But what happens that even when you do reach the thing, very often you can't see it because you're always in the endless seeking and expansion mode. And you aren't actually still enough to integrate and feel it and experience it fully because you're running on to the next thing. And then it slips away and then something happens or you lose it or it feels like something's just not in your control, spinning out of your control, or you're in this fear, right? Like this is not going to end. This is a cycle. Hey, Jürgen. My diamond concierge is here. I love it. So you make a different move out of alignment with your full highest vision. We all do this, right? Or, you know, you need the investment somewhere else and you're back. Whatever it happens, right? You're back to the square one and then your power goes with it because you've decided that's where your power is. Do you see that? Or when you decide to, I'm going to stick to a plan. I'm not going to show up this way anymore. I'm going to speak my message now. I'm going to do the thing I actually want to do in the way that I want to do it. And you do it and there's no response. Or there's nothing in the 3D or it's crickets. And then what? Then what happens, right? You try and tweak it in some way. You try to adjust. You try and modulate it. You fall from power into an illusion of it isn't working, or lots of other things, right? Like I'm not good at this, or this isn't where I should be, or I followed the wrong path, or I've screwed it up, right? This is the push-pull that is happening in your power. And you cast your eye not to the actual truth, but the symptom and not the root, going back to the beginning of this. Right? When you know why this is happening, when you know how to activate your power, when you know how to root into it, this is where you experience steady, sustainable results without having to keep putting out fires everywhere in your life or in your business. You decide, maybe I will get healthy and do XYZ. I'm going to stop this behavior. I'm going to step into my iconic identity and I'm going to draw this boundary. But then someone comes in and it's like, well, maybe I should just, you know, maybe this one time I'll let this slip, right? You see what I mean? It happens in every aspect of your life and what you are creating. And this manifests in much bigger ways as you build your legacy, as you navigate life and business. And what is actually happening, it isn't just the identity that you're living in, but the results that you're creating now from this identity. Same identity, same actions, same results, same site, same behavior, same results. We all do this. We all have this. This is part of the expansion process for you know, visionaries who really desire to create at an entirely different level. So it's keeping you in this push-pull frequency and never fully landing in the frequency that you desire because you haven't fully decided. It isn't like done. We're saying it's done, but it's not actually done. This can sting, but some part of you actually wants to be there because it is safe, because it is responsible, because it makes sense somehow in our minds, maybe because it's easier, maybe because it's familiar, or it's not going to create chaos or rock the boat. So it's safer, right, to stay here. So I am here for those committed to change now, to expansion now, ready to make the decision, ready to stop the push-pull. You've already created success. You already know that you are here for exponential expansion, not just expansion, but exponential. You know you don't think and work like everyone else, but this little like push-pull energy is a snag that's getting in the way of you fully embodying the thing that you are here to do. So you know where to find me. My inbox is open to serious inquiries about this. I am looking for a handful of lion-hearted, committed visionaries men and women who are ready to really dive into that next iteration of their power, to live in their no fucks given era, to take a multi-dimensional ride that doesn't require you following anyone else's templates, anyone else's roadmap, playing by anyone else's playbook. This is an experience of deep inquiry. This is an experience in excavation in the realm of conscious and unconscious and energetic, that opens the door, that opens the portal, that enters the house, that finds the root, so that you can activate command over your destiny. So that's it for today. Thank you for joining me. This has been super powerful, and I hope this helps really illuminate some of that push-pull frequency that, yeah, just might have you stuck at the ceiling or stuck at a plateau. And if you're ready to go, you know where to find me, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.